Hey everyone. Okay, so right from the jump, this chapter marks the end of the Shiki versus Nero fight, and contrary to my fears from last week, I did ultimately like how this fight ended, and a lot of that comes from the fact that I enjoyed how Mashima did kind of work Nero's long-standing friendship with Ziggy into his justification for helping Shiki grow stronger and defeat him, because as we see this version of Nero understands he can't defeat. He very much intends to in order to take back his throne, that Shura right now is on a power trip, and he wants to basically stop his own son, which is the reason as to why he turned to Draken Joe for help. But since Nero began fighting with Shiki and seeing his determination, Nero ultimately decided to shift his strategy and put his trust in the adopted grandson of his best friend. So, to stop Shura, leading to, in my mind, the most epic moment so far in Zero of Shiki basically activating, I guess you could say, like the true form of his overdrive, according to Nero, and materializing a set of armor that makes him look pretty much one for one like Ziggy. And although I do personally prefer like previous Ziggy designs over this one, I do have a soft spot for the bladed shoulder and body armor plating whole motif, and this is like almost like pretty much peak of what that is. Just the look of it is still pretty damn epic. It's, again, still prefer the earlier designs, but I still do kind of vibe with this one. Now, obviously, with that said, we do have to talk about Shiki's little declaration, which is that he's going to make friends with Draken Joe and Shura, even saying it directly to Joe's face, which was in itself hilarious. But being serious, this to me is a situation where Mashima does need to tread very lightly in how he handles Shura and Joe, and I'll start with Shura since he's the easiest to talk about. Shura, when you get down to it, is very much a psychopath. There's no two ways around it. That is who he is as a character, with the caveat that by the time the Aoi War arc ended, his humanity did pretty much shine. It did pretty much shine through in the end. So, in his final moments. So, in that respect, I feel that's something Mashima needs to hammer more on in this coming conflict with Shura, is giving us more of a window into the humanity, as well as show how Shiki can actually leverage that to reason with Shura. That's like the big thing Mashima has to accomplish right now, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a tall order. Like, it's one of those things where I don't want to say it's impossible in order for Mashima to do this, but it's one of those things where he does need to commit us to in order to actually showing, like pretty much showing 100% who pretty much Shura is, not just pretty much showing us the psychotic side of him, like show us how he grew up, how his upbringing was, just all that stuff. That's kind of what needs to be shown to us. Now, the other problem Mashima has. The other problem Mashima has with this idea in terms of Draken Joe is kind of a reverse to Shura, in the sense where Draken Joe, I'm sorry to say, when you get down, Draken Joe is a sociopath. He has, unlike Shura, who you could argue there was somewhat of a moral center there, it was just clouded underneath all the psychotic bullshit. Draken Joe, at least up to what we've seen, he has no moral center in order for Shiki to appeal to. When you get down to it, the dude is a crime lord, pure and simple. So, I'm sorry, but if Mashima, and by proxy Shiki, is even hoping to make an attempt to reform Draken Joe, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. And to be fair, despite how optimistic Shiki is portrayed as being in the chapter, I think Mashima even understands that. So I guess that just leaves the question of what's the best route in order to go here when it comes to what Shiki has to do to convince Draken Joe to work with him, all that stuff. Well, honestly, I think the only way to do it is to lean into the fact that Draken Joe is a crime lord. Have Shiki make a deal with the devil, as it were, and show Shiki needing to appeal to Draken's mindset as a businessman. Just pretty much talk, just pretty much show Shiki, like just talking shop with him, and just talking shop with him, and make a deal, with Draken. As it's like for me, like the idea of Shiki making a deal with Draken Joe is the only way you can make that work, as any other route just doesn't feel logical to me. Even when taking into consideration any differences that this version of Draken Joe has, at the end of the day, like that pretty much focal point of him being like a crime boss, a crime lord, all that stuff, it is still there. So it's like if he attempts to try to inform Joe, it's just gonna feel too much like too much of a heel turn. So yeah, in my mind at least, the only way Mashima can make this work is if if Shiki just makes a deal with the devil, so to speak. Okay. With all that said, obviously, I love the whole back and forth between the Wind siblings and Ivory, with Jin calling her out, saying, we were already regained our memories practically when the fight started, you bitch. You didn't have to go that hard. Which, yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. And I'm not going to lie, what Jin says is kind of fair, considering... considering how Ivory often gets lost in the heat of battle. Like, of course, that in itself, like, Jin, he's not wrong. Ivory does kinda go a little too hard sometimes, and yeah, but I guess it was kinda necessary too. Of course, that in itself is followed up by the confirmation that, yeah, Homura has more or less lost her memories. And honestly, I didn't realize it until now, but the fact that Clean had come to this world without her mental problems now makes me wonder if they got transferred to Homura. I mean, when looking at how Homura acts, the pieces do start falling into place a bit. Now, is it the same? Is it the exact? Is it the same, like? Is the same one-for-one deal with Homura, that she has the exact same issues that Clean did? I don't know, but it's just in a general sense, it does feel like Homura is kind of serving as the Clean surrogate of this world, and I have to imagine Ivory's gonna have to do for Homura what she did for Clean now, or at least something to that effect. And yeah, first and foremost, I want to know how the hell this happened, because the only thing that makes sense to me is that Homura ended up into a situation where when she was pretty much when she came to this world, her memories just didn't come with her or something. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter and on this Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Night signing off. Later, everyone.